Hey friends, welcome to the Johnson City Living Podcast, where we learn about the people, places, events, and flavors that make Johnson City just a lovely place to live. I'm your host, Colin Johnson, with the Colin and Carly Group and Keller Williams Realty. If you're interested in buying or selling a home in the area, or if you're looking at investing in a rental property, give us a call at 423-930-8003, and we will look forward to helping you. Now, let's get to today's episode. Today, we're hanging out with someone who's not only a talented creative arts teacher, but also an awesome friend and bright and joyful presence in our local art community. Our guest today is Carrie Kindle, a longtime creative arts teacher who's stepping away from the traditional school model to pursue her dream of becoming a full-time business owner. She's launched Small Business Maker, or Small Town Makers. Let's rewind that one, Mitch. Blah, blah, blah. She's launched Small Town Makers, a new creative studio experience designed to make art approachable, bite-sized, and accessible for everyone. Kids, adults, novices, and seasoned makers alike. Welcome to the podcast, Miss Carrie. How are you today?
I am doing great.
Well, I am excited because we have a little bit of a history, right?
Yes.
You told me right before we got on here that you taught my son Latin. So do you want to say something in Latin to all the podcast guests out there listening?
Not even a little bit.
Well, if I had to teach Latin, I would have left the traditional school model of Latin or school teacher and started my own creative thing anyway. So,
Yes, they scared me off.
yeah. Okay. So Johnson City Living Podcast. First question I hit everybody with is, what do you love most about Johnson City?
I think I love just the culture of Johnson City. I grew up here, so it's just so multifaceted and it's like growing all the time, and I never get tired of it, even though I live downtown and I live, work, and play downtown in Johnson City. Like every time I go out, I'm like, oh, there's a new restaurant, there's a new business, there's a new yarn store I'm really excited about.
Mitch, did you know we have a yarn store?
No,
That's pretty cool.
I did not know that.
Well, I mean, I thought you'd be first one in the door because you love yarn almost as much as I do.
I know, we're all yarn fans up here.
Yes, this is exciting, Carrie. So thank you for sharing that. So you love yarn stores. You and your husband go there, hang out. You go to different restaurants. And so
Yes.
just the eclectic different things that are happening in Johnson City is your favorite
Yes.
thing. That's cool. All right. So let's talk about your story. Did you grow up here?
Yes. So my mom grew up downtown and I grew up like in Boones Creek.
Okay.
And so born and raised here, I feel like I know everybody and
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen just about everywhere there is to go in Johnson City.
It's, if you grew up here, you probably have been everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not huge. It's not huge. It's getting bigger by the minute,
Yeah.
though, it feels like. And so where did you go to high school?
I went to Providence Academy.
Providence Academy. That's one of the best schools in the whole world. So, and then your family grew up here too, like your longtime East Tennesseans?
Yes, my dad's from Knoxville, but my mom grew up here. It goes back many generations. And so my grandmother worked at the Shamrock and my grandfather worked down at the water treatment plant down in like Watauga.
Yeah, I know right where that is.
So we're very familiar with the area.
That's
and
cool.
We still all get together. Like we just got together in October and we do apple butter and bluegrass every year.
That sounds like
Yeah.
fun. Tell me your favorite thing from the Shamrock.
Oh, I usually get either like a fried bologna sandwich with eggs and cheese, or I get the coffee house cookies and cream malt
Ooh.
extra thick.
Extra thick.
Yes.
Their milkshakes are top notch.
They're so good. I
They're
listened
so
to the
good.
episode with Mato because I'm friends with Becca.
Yeah,
And that like Roadrunner raspberry situation, I was like, oh, I got to get that.
I got to go try it. Yes, I never have. I need to go do that. But they're awesome. So if you
Yes.
want a milkshake and you go to go in, don't do. I mean, the drive-through is
Yes,
kind
the
of cool,
smell.
but the smell of inside is just awesome.
Yeah.
And then if you want, get a cigar, something like that.
Yeah.
So, have you always been like an artist and just been a creative?
Yeah, my mom tells stories about me being little and we'd go out to restaurants and the first thing I would do is like gather everybody's little paper napkin rings and I would make like little comic strips and I'd stick them all together and,
That's cool.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. And so I've just always wanted to do creative stuff.
That's fun. And then do you have like what kind of media are you best at for art?
Well, I mean, my BFA is in graphic design, but I really love tactile textile art. So I'm really into fibers, which
Okay.
is like so on the other end of the spectrum from
That's the
digital
yarn
art.
store,
But yes,
right? So,
hence the yarn
yeah.
store.
Tell me what you do with fibers to make art that's exciting.
So I have knitted for years and years, and I've crocheted for several years. When I was an undergrad, I started weaving, and I really, really love that.
That's cool.
Anything your grandma would do,
Yeah.
like I love to do. My sister, she has alpacas, so I've started spinning,
Okay.
which is like making your own yarn
Yeah.
from like the raw fibers.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I just did a rug making class a couple weeks ago, so I'm like, I'm gonna make some rugs now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think, there's a lot of stuff you think about, and there's a lot of stuff I never think about. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, you got to spin alpaca fur into like a yarn or
Yes.
a fiber, and then you have to knit that together to make
Yep.
a sweater. I mean, like, I just put on my sweater. I'm like, thanks, and
Yeah.
just kind of move on. But the amount of work behind it is a big deal.
Yes.
Which, do you like making clothes?
Yes. I was telling someone the other day, I usually, if it's something big, I make it for myself
Okay.
or I make it as a gift.
Yeah.
Because it takes a long time and, garments, especially, it's like the sizing and the gauge and everything has to be right. So most of the time it's either not good enough to sell or give to somebody, or it's like, I have to really love you
Gotcha.
if I'm going to give this to you because
Gotcha.
I made it.
So your husband's probably got lots of cool sweaters.
I don't think I've ever made him a sweater. I've made him fingerless gloves.
Oh, okay.
I've made him a hat and a scarf.
Nice.
I've bought him a couple of sweaters.
Oh, that's good. Let's give this fella a shout out. What's his name?
His name is Drew.
And what does Drew do?
Drew is a physical therapist.
Oh, sweet.
Yes. So he's like the type A to my type B.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So you're creative all over the place, and he's just like, wait a minute, we need to organize your fabrics, and
Yes.
we need to get your yarn in line.
Yes.
I get it.
He's
I
the
get it.
string to my kite.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it. Carly's great about keeping me organized too. She does a great job. Okay, so you left, you went and got a degree, and you started teaching. And then how long did you teach at Providence?
So I was only at Providence for a year. I've been in private school for 5. And it was like, that was during COVID. So it was kind of hard because
Yeah.
you're moving around and that was why I taught Latin.
All masked up.
Yes. I think it was really hard to try and teach. I wanted to do digital art, and that's kind of expensive. And during COVID, like there were all these budget cuts and reallocating of funds and things. And so it just didn't work out at that time. And I can remember, like, I never set out to teach. My first teaching job, it was just kind of, just an act of God, right? Like, I had a friend who was like, hey, I work for this school and they need an art teacher. And that's how I started. I loved it.
Yeah.
I ended up just absolutely loving it. But the school system is hard. Everyone should give your teacher friend a big hug and a really good Christmas gift because teaching is so hard. And, the kids are wonderful and my coworkers are wonderful, but just the system is difficult.
Yeah, one of our dear friends teaches art at University School.
Mhm.
Her name's Kristen Colson. She's so sweet. And yes, it is hard. And so we do
Yes.
need to give her hugs and props. And you guys do a lot to take good care of our kids
Yeah.
and teach them lots of stuff. And so you're pouring out your heart and your life to them. It's
Mhm.
and it's kind of some days thankless. And so
Yes.
thank you, all the teachers out there listening. We love you. All right. Then, so when did you have this entrepreneurial kind of drive? Where'd that come from?
I feel like I've always kind of had that. I come by it honest. My parents were both business owners growing up, and my sister is a business owner. So I think I grew up in that atmosphere. I actually grew up in coffee, which is weird. So my parents owned a coffee shop for 12 years. Java Rush.
Oh,
Yeah. So that was my mom's place, and that was my first job.
look at that.
Yeah. So I worked there for years, and then I was a supervisor at Open Doors. And then, my friend Sarah owns Blues Brew. So I'm one of her super seasonal
Nice.
baristas. But I think that just was so inspiring because I'm like, wow, if you see a need or if you have a passion, you can just kind of make it your own and you can do it. And there's got to be somebody out there who's going to like it and who's going to buy into it. If you make it, they will come.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always kind of felt that way. And when I was an undergrad, I made art and sold art all the time. So I was hustling. I was doing markets and I was setting up the tent and all this other stuff. And my poor husband, he has been through all of it with me, like,
Just
holding
taking the
down the
tent,
tent. Yeah.
putting the tent up, taking it
Yes.
down.
He can put up one of those canopies in like 10 seconds flat.
There you go.
But yeah, so I think I've always had that feeling, and I come up with ideas all the time. I'm like, somebody should do that. That could be a business. And I kind of have to rein myself in a little bit. And that's where he comes in.
Yeah.
He's like, maybe we do some risk assessment.
So you started doing the arts and selling it, and then you said, "Hey, wait a minute, I could help people learn how to do this." Is that kind of where that came from? How did you're tell our listeners what your company is called?
It is Small Town Makers. And so really the idea is like taking art concepts or techniques that might seem sort of unapproachable or intimidating and making them bite-sized, like making them small, making them accessible and approachable for everybody. So, if you're not wanting to start weaving because you'd have to buy a loom and you'd have to take classes and you'd have to, invest in all this fancy, expensive yarn and you'd have to weave a whole bunch of big things.
Right.
Instead, it's like, okay, like we're going to start really small and we're going to weave a mug rug, which is a coaster, right?
What is a mug rug?
I churched it up a
I
little bit,
love
but
it.
it's a coaster.
That's cool.
So it's just stuff like that I think people are held back because they don't want to invest all the money in the materials, or they don't really feel like they have the time. And it's like, okay, you might not have time to weave a tapestry, but you've got time to make a mug rug,
Right.
and making it affordable. And a lot of it too is like teaching people how to be sustainable where they source their materials. So we do a lot of art with recycled materials and learning how to repurpose stuff. Or just learning how to like take something that you already have that's kind of outgrown its use. I'm like, okay, how can we turn it into something different, something better, or something that you might want to give to somebody or you might want to use in your home? So that's kind of where it all came from. And I have ADHD and my brain like bounces to a bunch of different things and I get hyper fixated on something for a while and then I'm over it. And so my house is full of stuff that I've started and gotten into, and you buy all the things, and so I'm like, there's other people that are that way.
Yeah.
And to curb that, like, how about you go and you take a class and you see if you like it before you jump head first into it, and then you need a storage facility to hold it all.
Yeah.
So
starting a small business is a big deal.
yeah.
What were some of the fears you had that you had to overcome before you just like said, let's go for it?
I am not very organized, as is typical for the creative brain. I'm not very organized. I'm not necessarily good at keeping up with inflow and outflow of money and that sort of thing. And that's where my husband has been super helpful.
Yeah.
Because he loves that stuff. And he's got spreadsheets for everything. And every single month he's like, okay, let's settle up these spreadsheets. Like, here's what I've got. What do you have? And I'm like, okay, I've got this pile of receipts that I've been stuffing in my computer case. And he's like,
let me have those.
Okay, if you'll just hand those over, So I think that was one element that I was really scared about. And like, God was so faithful to give me this organized husband who's, able to do a lot of that.
He loves doing that too.
Yes. And he enjoys it and he loves me and I love him. And so it's like, he's patient with me, even when I'm disorganized. But yeah, and I think generally anytime you step out and you do something like this, you're like, what if nobody likes it? What if nobody cares? What if nobody wants to take a class? And there have been many days, like with my after school program, where it's like, I'm there whether a kid signs up or not, in case somebody shows up.
Yeah.
And I'll sit there for, 20 minutes and nobody comes. And that's okay, because there have been several times where I was just about to leave and somebody showed up or somebody wandered in and asked what I was doing. And so I do think that there are people that care and that are interested. It's just a matter of getting exposure and being willing to kind of step out and put yourself out there. So I'm trying to do more of that.
That's fun. I think it's neat how the Lord puts the right people together, right?
Yes.
And so you guys are a great synergy, it sounds like, and helping you overcome the fear of that. Anything else that you're like, oh goodness, how are we going to do this?
I mean, it was a huge leap of faith to quit my regular job. I was teaching full time. And we are a dual income household. And so I think that was really intimidating, and being like, okay, God, like, I'm doing this because I really feel like it's what you want me to do. Like, I trust you, whatever happens.
Right.
And even if it's not what I want to happen, like, I trust you. So I think that was really scary. And again, like my husband was so understanding of where I was at that time. It was like we had a baby in July of last year, and that was sort of the tipping point. I was already feeling a little bit, I think, discontent with just the school system and
Right.
feeling like it wasn't my place. God had a purpose for that season of life, but I was like, okay, there's something different. There's something better on the other side of this. And just feeling really, disgruntled.
Yeah.
And then it was like I had my baby and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't be away from him 40 hours a week. And that's, you got to do what you got to do, right? Like nobody just has the luxury to just do whatever they want.
Right.
But we sat down and we talked about it, and we had this idea, and we ran the numbers. Drew ran the numbers, and he was like, we could do this. Like you could do it. And if you can get buy-in from people, and we kind of set a timeline, it was like, okay, this could be more profitable and you get to spend more time at home with our son. And that's what we wanted. And so we took that step in faith, and it's still really scary because it could change at any moment. But just in the few months that we've been sort of doing this, it's like, I already have all these regular subscribers, these kids, and I have these people that, for whatever reason, they follow me on Instagram and they come to my classes. And so I'm like, okay, like God is being faithful, and I just got to keep pushing and keep trusting and keep doing the thing.
That's awesome. What would you tell somebody who's thinking about, oh, I'm going to step out and leave my job and go for it? What would be something you would say to encourage them to make that leap?
I would say definitely run the numbers. But
get super organized.
But yeah, I mean, I think just like if you're going to do it, be determined to do it. Have a clear idea. You don't have to have it all planned out, because I think about everything all at once and I get intimidated, and then I can't make a decision. I get frozen. But it's like, just take that next step, right? Like you may not have a clear path of like what it's going to look like 6 months down the road, but like take that first step. And then guess what? There's going to be another one after that and another one after that. And you just got to keep moving that way.
Yeah. What are some of those moments that have been confirming to you? You're like, all right, I'm making the right moves. I'm taking the right steps.
When I was still teaching, I started doing some adult classes in the evenings. And at first it was really hard because I was gone all day teaching at work, and, Drew was working his job, and then he would pick up our son so that I could go straight over to the coffee shop and I could teach a class, or teaching classes on the weekends and having to miss out on that day with family. But it was like, okay, let's try it and let's see if, it sort of starts to pick up. And the first few classes that I did, I had like 4 or 6 people at a time. And I'm like, okay, if I do a couple classes a week on top of what I'm already doing, like it gives us a little extra income and it's a foot in the door. And so then when summer hit, it was like, okay, you've got 2 more months of contract pay, and then you're on your own. You're out of the nest, you're flying or you're falling. And so during that time, it was like, well, I've already gotten a couple classes under my belt. I feel pretty good. I think I could do 2 or 3 in a week. And so it just sort of built from there. But I think that overlap was really crucial. I'm feeling like, okay, I've sort of dipped my toe and it feels possible and people are interested and I'm sort of garnering buzz. I think if I had waited until school was over and I had all this free time, it would have taken a long time to get that moving.
Yeah, I think it sounds like you did it wonderfully. You thought it through, got organized on some level, and kind of had a plan, and you worked the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Tell me about the name Small Town Makers. Where'd that come from?
Just in being in the art community, there's all of this conversation between fine art and craft. My very first teaching job, I worked alongside a phenomenal art teacher, and she had her own studio and she had all this fine art background. But she would say to me all the time, "You're so crafty." Mm. She would say, I'm familiar with fine arts, but I'm just not crafty. Like, you're crafty. You can make something out of nothing. And I think she meant it as a compliment. But in the art world, it's not a compliment generally. There's all of this delineation between like what is high fine art and what is just sort of common craft. But in reality, it's like, it's such a mix. Mm-hmm. And it is so like amoebic, like what even is art. And so I became aware of this phrase that I had seen on somebody's t-shirt, and I talked to her about it, and it was like being a maker of things. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. Like, you just make things. Like, there's nothing complicated about it. There's no like tiers or levels to like what art is. Like, you just make things.
Yeah.
And you make things out of all kinds of stuff, and you make all kinds of things, and they can have a purpose or they cannot. Like, it doesn't matter. And so, like, I really like the word makers for that reason. And then, I mean, JC is a small town. Like, I've lived here my whole life. I feel like every time I go out, I see somebody that I know. And so I was like, okay, that kind of encapsulates the vibe of what we're going for. I'm not trying to create this like huge business. It's just meant to be small and community oriented. You know, right now I'm mobile. So like I teach adult classes at Blues Brews, the coffee shop downtown. And then I teach my kids classes at Mill Spring Makers, which is actually in Jonesboro.
Yeah.
But I'm like, one day maybe I'll have a brick and mortar, and I want that to be sort of a creative hub for the community. I don't want it to be gigantic. I just want it to be small where people can make things. That's it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
We had a friend, Seth Thomas, who came up with Skillville.
Yes.
And so I don't know if you remember that or not, where
Yes.
You have all the tools you need to make stuff.
Yep.
Wooden, more carpentry stuff. But I thought that was cool. So maybe it'll be
I love that concept. I've made
Carrie's
Seth many
craft
coffees.
house, and just go and there's looms and all kinds of
Yes.
cool stuff around it. I
Yes.
don't even know what are or how to use, but it would be awesome to go
Right?
check it out. That's right. You're like, you don't even know what you're talking about.
It's okay because you could come take a class and you can learn.
See? And then I can make something and I can do something with it or not. It
Yeah.
just, for a guy, I don't know if Mitch would agree, but like if we make stuff, it needs to semi have a purpose. Like,
Yeah, functional.
yeah, I mean the mug rug, I get that. That's a coaster. That's
Yeah.
functional. I don't know if I'm a big macrame wall hanging kind of guy. My mom used to make those growing up. There's a shout out to you, Mom. Talk to me about your bite-size projects that really anybody can do.
Yes. So like one we did recently was micro cross stitch, which there's nothing fancy about it. We just did cross stitch on a really, really small scale, and we made these little charms.
That's cool.
But yeah, that was something my mamaw cross stitched, and she taught me to cross stitch, and I love to do it, but it's very time consuming and it can be really tedious. And so by doing it on a really, really small scale, it was like I taught people how to create their own little patterns. So if they wanted to make a frog or, a flower or whatever, like they could draft it out and then they could sit and they could do it in an easy 2-hour time frame. And so I have one girl that she took the class, and afterwards she was like, I got to get into this. And so, I sent her some links because we don't gatekeep. And, I'm like, here's all the materials you should use. And so now it's like she's cross stitching up a storm.
That's
and I'm
cool.
like, that's awesome. But then, there were other people who took the class that have probably never tried to cross stitch again. That's okay.
You just brought up a great memory. I used to cross stitch when I was
Did you?
like in 6th grade, maybe.
Yeah.
I remember cross stitching a dude on a half pipe.
That's such a boy project.
But it was really fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it was like, cool. I think my mom was a big cross stitcher. And so,
Yeah.
that was a blast from the past. Thank you
Oh,
for
yeah.
bringing that up, because I was thinking about that dude hanging tin on the tin.
That's like my husband did a fiber arts class in high school. And I was like, well, what did you make? And he's like, oh, I tie-dyed some T-shirts, And he was like, I did do beading. And he got out his project, and it was like an American flag with like an eagle on it. I'm like, yeah.
What's up?
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
One of my friends, his wife does, they take these she takes these little dots, like crystal dots, and like makes it's beautiful.
The gem painting.
Yeah, like it's gem. Yeah, she's just gluing gems on this thing, and she makes these
so
Dave Matthews
satisfying.
posters that are unbelievable. Like, how'd you do that, Lisa? That's super cool. Talk to me about the people who go, I'm not artsy, right? I mean, we all have two halves of a brain, left and right, and one's more analytical, one's more creative.
Right.
You're saying, hey, I'm more on the creative brain side, and your husband Drew's more on the analytical side, but he still did a awesome flag, right? So how do we tap into our creative brain side and like go, all right, I'm going to make some crafty stuff. I'm going to make some art.
I think sometimes it's about finding something that you are interested in and like making art about that.
Okay.
So
like
Drew,
my skateboard dude.
Yes, like your skateboard dude.
Yeah.
Drew is really into, like, we're really big board game people. So Drew loves Settlers of Catan.
Yep.
Okay. And he also loves 3D printing. He has a 3D printer. He prints like Pokemon and all kinds of stuff. And so
he is a small room maker. He's
yes.
just making things all day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he he saw online where people were 3D printing these Catan sets that are like 3-dimensional. They're like a topographical map. And so he got really into it. And I showed him a little bit of like CAD software, and he like, modified these patterns so that he could put little magnets in them and they would all snap together. And so then it was all printed and it was gray, right? Because the filament's gray. And he's like, I don't know. Like, I think it needs to have color. And I'm like, well, let me teach you how to paint it. And at first he was like, could you just paint it? I don't really want to paint it. I'm like, no, let's do it. So we went and we picked out the colors, and I showed him some techniques and how to do like splatter paint and different things. And he has like taken off with this Catan set, and it's beautiful. And he did it all himself. And he like shows strangers in public like pictures of his Catan set. It's awesome. And
I can't wait to see it, Drew.
Yes. So we'll send you pictures. He just needed to tap into something that he enjoyed and that he was interested in. And then it was like, oh, he was off to the races. He's never taken an interest in painting before, but it was like he was carefully painting this little like volcanic tile with a volcano and stuff on it. And so, yeah, he got really into it after that.
That's fun. And then I think you lose yourself like for a little bit, right? And
yes.
You're turning off your analytical brain and giving it a break. So
it's like there's no rule.
It's probably healthy for you at some level. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, anything that's like sort of meditative and doesn't require you to make a whole lot of like heavy decisions is probably good for your brain.
Yeah, I would agree. Talk to us about your after school club.
Yes. So
like the Mickey Mouse Club?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have a song and everything.
Sweet.
A mouse mascot.
Mitch, can we get in on this together?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
So on Mondays, the after school art club is for ages 5 to 7. So it's very like process art oriented. We're learning just like basic motor skills and how to use certain art materials. And they're just sort of starting to use their
creative brain. Where's this happening
brain.
at?
It's at Mill Spring Makers Market in Jonesboro.
Down in Jonesboro.
Yes.
Is all your art around a coffee shop because you got Corner Cup right there?
Pretty much. I roll up to my class.
You got your other one. That's right.
Let me get a coffee first.
I need coffee, then we can art it.
Yes, exactly. And right around the corner is Numa. Have you been to Numa?
Yeah. No, Carly. I have been once. No, we went to the little. What's the little restaurant right beside Numa?
Possum's Tail?
Yes,
is that right?
We went there, but Carly's been to Numa a few times.
Yes, Numa is awesome. Yeah. Noah and Dylan, they're awesome. But yeah, so usually it's like, ooh, who am I getting a coffee from today?
Right.
And then I go and I teach my class, and so on Mondays it's like sort of kindergarten age kids, and we've made some really cool stuff. Like over the summer we did like these mosaics with air dry clay and beans and seeds and stuff like that. But sometimes it's traditional art media and we're painting, but we're doing it in a unique way. Like with the little ones, we'll paint with pom-poms and clothespins, and it's all about fine motor skills. And then on Tuesdays we have ages 8 to 12. So then it gets like a little more creative and they have a little more ownership over what they're making. And so sometimes they'll have a really clear like project that they're trying to make. And sometimes it's like, we're working in this media, here's all these different materials, and we talk a little bit about what they want to make or what's on their brain, and then they just go for an hour.
Yeah.
So it's really good. It's a good way to like decompress after they've been in school all day and they've had to like sit still and sit up straight and follow instructions and be quiet. And they get to just like chat with their friends and make art. And, at the end of every single class, like they've got something to take home. And they're always like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to show this to my mom or my dad or my friend or whoever. I have one little girl that a couple weeks ago we did kumihimo, which is like a Japanese traditional like weaving technique, and you can make like these cords. So we made bracelets, right? Bite-sized.
Kumihimo friendship bracelet.
Exactly. And so then she came in this past week and she had a bucket full of these bracelets, and she'd written on the side, handmade bracelets for $3. And she stopped and sold like 3 on the way in. And
nice.
So like now she's an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? So she'll be on the podcast next week.
There we go.
She's looking forward to it.
Becky's bracelets or something.
Exactly.
She'll wear it out.
Exactly.
There's a new bracelet, Verslets place in Jonesboro.
Yes.
Which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
I was like,
neat.
A whole store about bracelets.
And the storefront is beautiful. Like, it's so cool.
I heard about it. I haven't seen it. So yeah, need to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's super cool. And so you're there on Mondays.
Yep. And Tuesdays.
How do like listeners find like, hey, I want to bring my kid over here and drop him off while I go get coffee at Numa.
Right.
Can you do that or no? You got to hang out.
You can do that. Usually with the younger ones, like they're 5, I'm like,
hang out.
Grab your coffee quick and then hang out, because sometimes they need help Or, it's like sometimes they get overwhelmed and they want their mom. Sometimes it's just nice to have extra adults in the room to sort of help out.
Right.
But yeah, so if they go to my Instagram, it's just Small Town Makers. That's the handle. I have a link tree there that has all of my classes.
Nice.
You can do drop-in classes. They're $30 per class. So if you want to just go for one class and try it, you can. And if your kid doesn't like it or you don't like it, it's not a big deal. But then you can also subscribe and you save a little money that way. So it's $100 a month, so $25 per class.
Nice.
And that's nice because, it's like it's billed every week or every month and you don't have to think about it and you get kind of into routine. And so, and like my kids, I post the schedule every month. And so they come in and they kind of know what they're going to do and they're excited about it. Or maybe they've never heard of Kumihimo before and they're like, I can't wait to find out. But yeah, so that's on my Instagram. I'm also doing class passes for Christmas. So if you want to gift class passes to a kid in your life, you can buy them. They're in sets of 4. So like you can gift a whole month of classes if you want, or they can split them up across several months. They don't expire for a whole year. So yeah.
That's cool. And then you do adult classes at Blues Brews. When is that happening?
Yes. So they're usually on Monday nights. So I'll do like every other Monday night. And sometimes they're like cross stitch, right? So they're a little more in the traditional like folk art and craft realm. Sometimes it's like, we hollowed out pumpkins and we poured scented candle wax into pumpkins and we put little pressed flowers and we, it's just fun and you make something seasonal. So it's really fun to do with friends. You get a free coffee with your ticket. So it's like if you're already looking for something to do and you like coffee or you like tea or whatever, Blues Brews has like a million different drinks. So you can try something different every time.
That's super fun. And then again, on your Instagram, you'll see the class schedule there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then register. Same pricing for the adults, $30
the adult classes, they vary just depending on the project and what all goes into
material costs. Yeah.
Yes.
That makes sense. Look at you being organized and very entrepreneurial.
I feel very organized, right?
Yeah.
I was vetted before this.
What do you hope to change about our city or culture by your business and making this a better area? How do you want to affect our community?
I think making people be a little more confident to like step out and try something new. I was a big like camp kid growing up. And so now as an adult, I'm like, ooh, what's that? I want to try it. Like my mom sent me, I think she wanted to get me out of the house. So she sent me to like sewing camp at the Nimble Thimble.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know about that one.
Wait for it. Scrapbooking camp at the Cropper's Corral.
Oh.
Yep. I did knitting camp at Yarn Teaks, which Yarn Teaks is a great yarn store.
Yeah.
We have 2 yarn stores now. Awesome.
I mean, and you're saying Johnson City is small. Come on.
Right. We have 2 yarn stores and a cross stitch store.
That doesn't even take into account what's the place over by Target. There's like a
Joanne.
Yes.
Joanne closed. Everyone is sad and salty about it. But
sorry,
I think
Mitch, Joanne closed. I hate to break it to you here on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm pretty salty about it.
I know. He's so salty. But that brings up a good
either.
point.
I'm going to need a minute. Okay, I'm okay.
A moment of silence for Joanne.
Well, she's okay, I think. Can you do a little research and find out, make sure Joanne's okay, but her store is no longer. So.
Yeah. No, Joanne's like sitting on a pile of cash.
Right. She just checked out.
Michael's.
She was like, yeah.
But we don't have a lot of like local art supply stores.
True.
And so that's another thing. Like if I were to have a brick and mortar eventually long down the road, I would love to be able to have local art supplies, right? So like whether it's things that are locally made that then you can make art out of, or just like ethically sourced things. I think I also love the idea. We have some of these like repurposed art supply stores in other larger cities where, if you want to make something out of milk bottle caps, like you can buy them by the pound, right? And you can make something out of them.
That's crazy.
And I know that sounds crazy, but like you can turn trash into any kind of art, any kind of treasure that you want. Yeah. And so I think just making art more sustainable would be another thing I'm trying to do.
I love it. All right. Fun stuff to ask you. What's the messiest art project you've ever done?
I mean, I've never done stained glass in my life, until recently. So my mom loves stained glass, and for her birthday, I decided I was going to make her something. And it was really fun, but I had like molten metal everywhere, like all over my kitchen table. It was very scary and very stressful. So that was really messy. If you've ever done acrylic pouring, it's very messy.
That looks super cool. Like the
It is
tables
so
that are
cool.
people are doing. And
Yeah, but you got to have like a huge drop cloth catch tray situation. It's a
'cause it
lot.
can go everywhere.
Yes.
Okay. What's your go-to creative snack or drink while you're working? What's your coffee of choice?
I am a beverage girly. So, like my husband and I joke, I have to have like a functional beverage, and then I have to have a like dopamine beverage. So, like a coffee and then like a soda or like something yummy. And then, like, I always have my emotional support water bottle. Okay. So, like 3 drinks. And then,
I know a
honestly,
lady
it's like,
like that.
right. You're a beverage girly too.
Well, probably, but my wife, has more beverages than hands, I'll say,
Yes.
at times.
Yes. So yeah, I would say like usually a couple of drinks. Lately, I've been crushing Ghirardelli peppermint bark. That's like my seasonal
good.
guilty pleasure.
This time of year, I love the Ghirardelli bark. It's
Yes.
delicious.
And the Christmas tree cakes.
Little Debbie?
Yes.
Really?
I don't want to know what they're made of.
I don't think
they're
anybody
so
knows what
good.
they're made of. They just
Just-
come out with some green acrylic cake and you're just,
And
it
red
tastes
40.
delicious.
Yeah.
Tastes delicious. If you could master any medium just instantly, what would that be and make something cool?
That's a hard one. I think I really want to like go with something that I'm already sort of pursuing, which would be weaving. Because I feel like I'm still such a novice, and you're limited by your materials, right? Because I don't have like a big giant fancy loom or a big huge studio. But I've just seen some really incredible like weaving artists online that I'm like, man, if I could just like spend years and years and years, if you could encapsulate that into, my 29-year-old brain, and I could just do it.
You
like
took
I'd
the
like to
limitless pill and boom, you're like a master weaver.
Yes. Yes.
I am I've always been blown away by tapestries. Like you'll go to a castle and you'll see a tapestry as big as like a house. I mean, like it's humongous. And it's from a distance, you're like, this is this beautiful picture. But as you're weaving it, you're talking about this one little knot and thread that I put right here in this one spot. I don't even know how they did it. It's unreal.
It is crazy. Even like when you learn how a loom works and then you learn how ancient the art of weaving is, you're like, how? Like, how do we figure this out? Who spent the time to like build this thing? It's crazy.
It's super cool. I mean, and then how many years it probably took to make these things. It's unbelievable. And then it kind of goes back into the rugs, like a Persian rug, same deal, right? I mean, now we have machines that just knock it out, but back in the day, it was your fingers knocking it out. Favorite spot in Johnson City to get creative? Like what boosts your creative juices? Like, do you have a place you like to go to get inspiration? Or Jonesboro?
I mean, I love like Lazy Lady Bakes because they have Atelier 133. They've got like the gallery space right there.
Yep.
So you can like sit and you're sitting amongst the art, and then like the train goes by and it's just like such a vibe. You know what I'm saying?
They've got a whimsical bunch of like pictures up there now. I was looking over the other day at my like this dog picture. Just he looks super happy. It's just really kind of like a colorful dog picture.
I love
it was awesome.
dogs.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, Lazy Lady's awesome too.
Yes.
I think a chocolate croissant is very inspiring. What's one thing you wish everyone understood about creativity?
I think it's difficult to teach creativity, and they say like everybody has creativity. Everybody is capable of being creative. That is true. I do think that some people are more gifted with creativity than others. So like if you feel like you have that gift, explore that, like really cultivate that.
Yeah.
Look for ways to use that. Cause like Madison, Ramey, who was on here, I teach with her at Hilton Horizons as well. And one thing from her episode was like, she just started painting 3 years ago, which is crazy.
Yeah.
As someone who's like made art their whole life and is still just kind of mediocre at all of it, I'm like blown away. But, it's like she is creative and somebody saw something in her and it kind of stirred it up in her. And she was like, okay, I'm going to explore that. And now like she's making all these murals. So yeah, I think if you are someone who is specifically gifted with creativity in whatever form it is, if it's cooking, if it's painting, whatever, like cultivate that.
What would you like to say to teachers out there to inspire them to help kids be creative? Because I hear that there's a ton of no's right on the front end. Like kids hear no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. You can't be that. You can't,
Yeah.
and that stifles them, right? And so
Hmm.
we may have stifled the last, Da Vinci somewhere because he didn't, or
Yeah.
she didn't hear the right words. What would you say to teachers who are in that, like, probably kindergarten space, right? First grade.
Hmm.
What would you do to help them inspire kids to be creative?
I would say give them time and space to just like be open ended,
Mm,
which is really hard when you have like 20 kids in a room.
right.
I think that was the challenge of being in the school system was like having so many kids and every single one of them is different and has different requirements and different needs and expectations. And so it's like really hard to corral that many kids. But if you can handle the mess just for like 30 minutes, do something that's just like totally open ended. So, if it's like learning centers where they just get to like do stem bins or play with sand or like, what I would do is like each kid gets a piece of paper and every single station has different materials and you just make something. Like by the end of it, you've made something. And it was a total mess, right? And most of the time, like whatever they made wasn't really fridge worthy. However, they were proud of it. They got to be creative and they didn't have any boundaries, any rules, any instructions. It was just like they got to make something. And I do think that's really helpful,
Yeah.
especially if they're in a traditional school where they're sitting. I mean, it's like a 40-hour-a-week job for babies, it's a lot. So being able to be like, okay, like you just get to like have some free reign a little bit within reason. I think that that's helpful.
Yeah. And just don't get them knitting too early. We're not making shirts and stuff. We're in this 40-hour-a-week job as kids.
I mean, if they manage to do that, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And then pull them out of school and let them just knit.
Start knitting. And then, yeah. I think we start child labor camps that way.
I know. It's like we're
Yeah.
getting in a different
Yeah,
direction.
kind of going the wrong direction with that. What is your dream for small town makers over the next 1 to 3 years?
I think, a very realistic goal is like I want to have a brick and mortar.
Okay.
I like
Where, like, all right, you close your eyes, you're getting creative. What
Mhm.
does this space look like in your mind? And where is it?
In my mind, I still want it to be downtown. I have a building in mind already.
Mm,
And it's green and it's on Walnut Street. And if you own it and you're listening, I want it.
just give it to her.
But I just give it to me. I think a place where people can like come together and collaborate is really important to
Mhm.
me. And so you're not limited by resources. I want to be able to provide as many creative resources as possible.
Would you collaborate with other artists to buy it together as like a cooperative kind of thing?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That may
Um,
help you get there faster.
I know. And I think I've talked to somebody else about that exact thing. Like it's so much more possible to do things together than it is to do them alone. And I feel like that applies to so much stuff. But yeah, I think I would want it to be a creative and collaborative space. So people can come together and make things together. People can borrow materials and share materials from other people. Um, and just a space where it's like, okay, like you're limitless, right?
Mm.
You're not limited by how much money you have and what you can afford. And if you have the space and you have the materials or you even have the ideas, like there's somebody there to bounce ideas off of and you can come up with something cool. I think that's like my vision.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm sure the person with the green building is going to reach out to you due to this podcast. And
His
so
name
just
is
be
David.
David. Well, we can talk offline. Maybe I know him
I don't
too.
know him, but
we can hook
his
you
name's
up.
on the sign. I'm like, I know you.
I know you and you have my building. And people again can follow you at Small Town Makers and
Mhm.
Linktree.
Yep.
Just get on there and connect with you. What encouragement would you give someone who says, I'm just not artistic? As a final thought.
I think that is okay. It's okay if you feel like you're not artistic. Like, not everyone has to be an artist. If everyone was called to be a carpenter, like, then who would make the cars and who would make the food?
That's true.
But I think that you'd be surprised what you can do. Like I said, if you tap into something that you're interested in. So even if it feels silly, even if it's like, oh, I'm going to do a painting of Pikachu because I'm really into Pokemon. That's okay. Like, that's not silly. It's something that you like, and it may not feel like the typical traditional like subject for a painting,
Right.
but like try it and see if you like it.
Yeah.
And then if you don't like it, at least you tried it.
Try
Nothing
something
ventured, nothing gained.
There you go. I love it. I love it. What did I forget to ask you that you wish you could share? Anything?
Oh, what my favorite event in Johnson City is?
Oh,
It is Meet the Mountains
yes.
because of the dock diving dogs.
Okay.
I have a Brittany Spaniel, and I love dogs so much. And every year we go and I stand in front of the dock diving pool and I get splashed with water and I just cry because I love the dogs so much.
Oh.
So it has nothing to do with art, but you would ask that of somebody else.
Flying
and I
dogs.
thought if I were going to answer that question,
Yeah.
that's what it would be.
And then I'm going to really put you on the spot here. What's your favorite coffee shop?
Oh, I can't answer that question. I have
Sorry.
too many friends who own coffee shops around
All
here.
right. Well, I'll let you off the hook. Top 3. And you can't say the Corner Cup and Blues Brews because you've already mentioned.
Okay.
That'll give you some
Then
freedom.
I would say Open Doors, Dos Gatos, and The Moon.
There you go. All 3 downtown. Great. Can't lose.
Yes.
Great ones. Great ones. Well, thank you
Of course.
so
Thank
much
you.
for coming on the podcast. I love that I get to meet people and that I sort of knew, right? But they've got these unbelievable ideas. They're just living out their dream. They're making Johnson City better. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for coming on and telling our listeners about it. I'm hoping that everybody just like signs up with Carrie, go take your kids down and do some cool art and inspire them, and don't like stifle that creativity in them. And it's going to be fun to watch you see. I'm going to come and see this loom thing when you get the whole deal going.
Absolutely.
In this green building on Market Street.
I don't believe in manifesting, but I'm like, God, I know you're listening.
Yeah.
I want that green building.
You know what? I think it's cool how the Lord works sometimes, because you'll have these ideas. And one of my friends who was off, he said, if it continues to hang out and it stays in there, it doesn't die on the vine, then it's most likely from the Lord.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really cool how sometimes those do come into fruition, and it just makes you that much more grateful when it happens. You're like, holy smokes, look at what happened. Like, it's just unbelievable. So just keep following that dream, keep praying about it. And Drew will keep you organized, and you guys will do it together. So
he will keep me on task.
He'll keep you on task, and I'm looking forward to checking it out and seeing what you do in the future. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for listening. Till we meet again, I'm Colin Johnson with the Colin and Carly Group and Keller Williams Realty. If you need to buy a house or you need to come make something creative, if you need a mug rug, holler at me. I'll connect you with Carrie. And we, again, thank you for listening. Subscribe, share it, put it out across the world. We want this thing to grow as Johnson City is continuing to grow. Have a great day.